be using the set. So generally, whenever we are planning to do the window handling, so we may need the help of the set. Okay, so we are going to do the window handling. So what is mean by window handling? So window handling is nothing but, so there are few pages. So like whenever like you click on something, either it will be open in the new tab. So generally we call them as a new tab or new window. Okay. So now if we need to do some action in the new tab or in the new window, we need to switch from the current window to the new window. So for example, let's say, okay, let me just open this Learn More login page as an example. So in which I'm trying to enter the credential and then I'm clicking on the login button. If I click on the login button, okay, the main menu of my page will be opened as a new tab. So the event management tab is opening as a new tab. But initially the WebDriver will be always available only in the parent window. The control will be available only in the parent window. So from the parent window, so we need to switch to the child window. So which we call it as an window handling. Okay, so the window handling is nothing but the process of switching from one window to the other window, and how we are going to switch from one window to other window. So even that is like very simple. Okay, so yearly like we have learned about the method called as a switch to, right? Like we have switched to the alert, we have switched to the frame. In similar way, like if you need to switch to the window, like we can say like driver dot, okay, switch to dot windows. Okay, so now we should use the switch to method, and with the help of the switch to method, like we will be using this windows method, and in this windows method we need to tell to which window we need to switch. Okay, so how we will get to know that? So basically there is a method in Selenium, okay, called as an get window handles. So when I use this method, right, get window handles, what it used to do in the sense, okay, it will return the property of all open window. So whatever the open window is there, it will return all the properties. So properties is nothing but it will have some string value at the back and it will return the respective string value. And we can store the string value, and post storing the string value, we can retrieve the needed string value and we can pass the needed string value in this Windows method. Okay, so generally when we use this get window handles method, it is going to get all the properties of the open window. And there is another method called as an get window handle. Okay, so what is the need of this method in the sense? It will get the property of current window. Okay, so which is nothing but, so initially the WebDriver control will be always in the parent window. So which means it will get the property of the parent window. So if you need to get the property of the parent window, we can use the get window handle. If you need to get the property of all open window, then we will be using the method called as an get window handles. So in a real time, so when we say window handle, so obviously like there will be only one child window. So there won't be a multiple child window, because like we need to switch from parent to the child window, and then sometimes we will be switch back from the child window to the parent window. So this is the mechanism like we are going to do. Okay, so now let's take this learn more page and let's try to automate this login page. But this time we are going to make some difference. Okay, so this is the login page of learn more. What I'm going to do, so here the credential is mentioned in the UI. So here the credential, this is the learn more for the username, and this learn more at 123 is an password. I need to extract the username, okay, and then I need to inject the username over here. I need to extract the password and then I need to inject in the password text box, and then I need to click on the login button, and post login button I need to switch from this parent window to this child window, and then I need to verify so whether the switching has done or not. So what I can do, I can verify the title of the page. So in the assert statement, I need to verify the title of the page. So this is the scenario which we are going to automate. So it is kind of an login validation. Okay, now the first step is like, so we always need to create a scenario, right? Let me just open the LearnMore.feature in which I'm adding a scenario. Okay, so let the scenario name be the login validation. Okay, and how we are going to do the login validation? So like in a given statement, we can say, okay, so user enter the username and password. Okay, then they are going to validate the title of the page. Okay, so just I'm adding like two generic statement, and let me add some tag. Let the tag name be the LMTI 03. For each and every scenario, we are giving unique tag. So why we are giving the unique tag? So that we can run that particular scenario. But in a real time, we will be having some common tag across all the scenario, because like we will be creating the test suite and we will be running the test suite in the CI/CD server. Okay, so which we will be discussing in the next week. So now let me map the statements. How you can map? So just hover over the mouse and click on the create step definition, and we are sticking to the page called as on learn more steps. So I'm mapping the given statement. In similar way, I'm going to map the then statement. Okay, so let me just map it up. And what is the next step? So we need to write the coding. But when we need to write the coding, obviously like we need to check whether the page object is present or not. So I'm going to verify the page object. If the page object is present, we can reuse the page object. But if I open the page object, okay, I could not see the page object class for the particular page. So what is this page name? It is obviously a learn more login page, right? So then I should add one new class. Let it be like learn more, okay, login page. So now I have created. So now it is asking me, so do I need to add this file to the Git? So if I click on the cancel button, we can add it in the later part, because we can do it manually. So rather than adding now, after completing the coding, we can add the code to the repo. So in which repo it will be adding? So it will be adding in my repo in the branch called as an LMTI. So I have created my own branch. It will add the coding in my own branch. So now I'm simply clicking on this cancel button. Now here we are going to inject the handling mechanism. So handling mechanism is nothing but for each and every field, like we are going to create some reusable method. But if we need to work on the reusable method, obviously like we need the help of the driver. But we are pausing the driver knowledge with the help of the test context. So with the help of the test context, we will be pausing to the page object manager, and from the page object manager, we are injecting the knowledge of the driver to this particular class, which means like this class should accept the driver knowledge. So then whenever we call this method, so something should execute first. So that is the reason we are creating the constructor. So I'm creating the constructor, and this constructor name should be same that of the class name. Okay, so I'm just creating same that of the class name, and with the help of the constructor, we are going to get the knowledge of the driver. So I'm just adding one parameter like called as an web driver and giving the variable name called as an driver. So now we will be getting the driver knowledge, but this driver variable is an local variable. Okay, but we will be using this driver in various reusable methods which we are going to create. Then how we are going to share the knowledge? So obviously like we are going to create one more global variable called as a web driver, and we need to assign the knowledge to the global variable. How we can access the global instance? Obviously like with the help of the this keyword. So when I say like this dot driver, it refers to the global variable. Okay, so now to this global variable, we are assigning the local knowledge. Okay, now this is fine. But from which class we are passing the driver knowledge? Obviously like page object manager, right? So then we should navigate to the page object manager, and inside the page object manager, I need to create a method for initializing this entire LearnMore login page. So just I'm adding like public void. I'm creating the method called as an get, okay, LearnMore login page. So now I have done. So now what we are going to do, we are going to create the object over here. So let's say, let me create the object for the respective class. So learn more page, I can give some variable name is equal to new of learn more page. So now after creating the object, right? So why it is throwing the error? Because whenever we create an object, technically the constructor call will happen. But the constructor which you have created in this class is expecting some input. So it is expecting the web driver, and we should pass the driver knowledge from this class to this learn more page. So that's the reason like we are injecting the driver. Okay. Now we need to add the return statement. So now let me not add the return statement and let's see how it is behaving so that like you will get to know the usage of the return statement. Okay. So now we have injected the knowledge of the driver. Now let me go and write the coding. Okay, so the first one, let's say public void, I'm saying like enter, okay, username. So this is the first method I'm creating. In similar way, like I can say I can enter the password and then we can click on the login button. Okay, so I have created three methods. Click login button. Now we are going to map the coding. How you are going to do the coding? Obviously with the help of the driver. I can say driver.find element. Now we are going to right click and inspect over this particular text. Okay. So now if you notice, if I place the mouse over this particular node, it is highlighting the entire text called as an username space learn more. Okay, now let us extract the entire text, and from the entire text we need to like summarize, we need to pick only the learn more. So we can see how we can extract the learn more from the entire text. So now it is having the tag called as an label and we are having the class called as an label. Now I need to verify whether it is unique or not, because we are having only one option which we call it as a class. Okay, so now how I can verify whether it is unique or not? So either you can convert to the XPath, or we can easily verify with the help of the CSS selector, because I already told dot indicates the class name. So then what I can do, I can say dot label. So when I click on the dot label, okay, it is giving me kind of an how many matching results. So it is giving me like 5 matching result. But luckily, if you notice, this is present in the first matching result, because if you place the mouse over this, it is highlighting this, highlighting the particular text. Okay, it is present in the first matching result. It is not in the second matching or in the third matching. Okay, so whereas like this password is present in the second matching. So but if it is present in the first matching, then it is added advantage for us, because we know the find element will always pick the first matching element. Even though there are multi-matching, it is going to pick the first matching, right? So I can use it up. Or else if you are not comfortable to use it, then use the XPath access and just try to write the syntax in one of one way. Okay, now let me try to write this. So by dot, okay, CSS selector, and I'm going to get the text value. Okay, so now I'm getting the text value. So now after getting the text value, I need to verify whether we are returning the text or not, whether we are extracting the text or not. So in order to know, I'm just adding the breakpoint over here, and let's execute this coding till this point and let's check whether we are able to extract the text or not. I'm just adding the breakpoint. But if you add the breakpoint, we need to call this method. It says no usage. When it says no usage, which means you haven't called this method anywhere. But where we need to call? So obviously like in the given statement. So in the given statement, okay, we are going to do the automation with the help of the contexts, right? So I'm just calling the contexts, And inside the contents, we are having the knowledge of the page object manager. And inside the page object manager, when I type get, it will list down all the method. So we need to get the knowledge of the learn more login page. So I'm just using the method called as an get learn more login page. Now after which, if I add dot, it is not giving the methods present inside the learn more login page class. So the reason is like because we haven't added the return statement. Okay. So if we need to share the knowledge to someone, so we should always add the return statement. I should say return of okay learn more page. Now if I place the mouse over it and if I just make the return statement will be changed from void to the learn more login page. Now we are returning the entire class. Now if I say dot, it will list down all the methods. So that is the use of the return statement. So when you are planning to share the knowledge, right? So we should always add the return statement. Okay, so now I'm going to execute this method called as an enter username. So when I say enter username, if I just do the control click, so basically like if you do the control click, it will be navigating to the corresponding method. So here I'm just doing the control click, it will be navigating to this particular method and it is going to execute this piece of code. As we have added the breakpoint, okay, it will extract the text. Now let's see how it is extracting the text and then we can develop our coding. So now let's update the tag in the runner file. Okay, I'm updating the tag and then I need to update the test environment. So what is the environment we are going to use? This is the environment we are going to use. I'm just adding over here and then I'm running in the debugger mode. So why I'm running in the debugger mode? So that like the execution will be paused. So wherever we have added the breakpoints. Now let's see like how it works. So here I'm going to introduce one more new concept. So basically like we can verify the output in the console itself. Okay, I will explain the new concept. Okay, so now the code is executed, but if you see, okay, the execution is passed. So where it is passed? So in this particular line. Now we need to know what it is happening in this particular line. So how we can visualize the particular line. So generally there is something called as an watches. Okay. So with the help of the watches, like we can visualize so what it is happening. So what it is happening in this particular line. So in order to know that, I'm just copying this particular line. Okay. And so we have added the breakpoint, right? That is the reason it has pause the execution. I'm not resuming the program. So I'm just going to add this statement in the watcher to know what it is returning. So how we can add watcher in the sense, so generally the spec symbol, right? So this we call it as an watcher. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a new watcher. If you right click, so there is an option called as an new watch. So just click on the new watch and copy paste the respective statement. Okay, so copy paste the respective statement and if you click on the enter, right, okay, it will give the output. So what is the output we are getting? Okay, so this particular line is going to return the output called as an username space learn more. But in this line, okay, we required only the learn more. So then how we can extract only the learn more? So obviously the get text is a string, right? So in a string, like we are having many concepts. So we can split the string. So how we can split the string in the sense, in this case, we can like split by the spaces. So whenever like you are planning to split by the spaces or split by any of the character, then we can use the method called as an split. So now in this particular line, right? Okay, I'm just double clicking on it, we can able to edit. So in this text, if I just click dot, so there is a method called as an split. Okay, and how we are planning to split? We are planning to split by the space. So when it is up in space, so like you should add the double quotes and you should provide a space because we are going to split the text based upon the space. So now I have split it. Now if I click on the enter, okay, so what will be the output? So the output will be, if you see, it is returning the username as well as password. Okay, it has splitted the username and it has splitted the learn more in a array. So in an array, it has splitted and it has stored. In a first index, we are having the username. In the second index, we are having the learn more. So now in my case, I need this learn more. So sorry, the index should be start from the 0, right? In the 0th index, the username is present. In the first index, the learn more is present. So in my case, I need to access only the first index value. Then how we can access the first index value? So in the same code, okay, in the same line, okay, I'm just double clicking on it. Okay, so if you do the double click, it will work. So somehow it's not working, or else I will edit, right click and edit. So here I need to access, okay, based upon the index. So just I'm adding the square bracket and then I'm adding the index value. So what is the index we need? We need the first index. So I'm just making the first index. So now if I give the index value, it is returning like only the learn more. And now if you notice there is a space is present. Okay. So because there may be a duplicate white spaces and we need to remove this white space because while entering this username, so we should type only the learn more, not space learn more. If you type space learn more, then it will say that it's an invalid credential, it won't log in. So we need to remove the space. So how we can remove the space? So if we need to remove the space, so there are many ways in a string. Okay, so generally, like when we take a string, so we have discussed a number of methods. Like initially we discussed the equals method. So it is going to compare the two string. Okay, and today like we have discussed the one method called as in split. Okay, so it is going to like split the string, okay, based upon the input which we are injecting. So in our case, we have splitted by the space. Okay. And after splitting, okay, it will store in the form of an array and we can retrieve the needed value based on the index. Okay. So that is what we have done. And there is another method called as a trim. So whenever we use the trim, right? So the trim method will remove the white spaces. Okay, it always remove the white spaces. So if you need to remove the white spaces, we can use the trim method. Substring. So generally, this substring can be used in two ways. So the one is like, so we can extract the needed word based upon the index. So either we can give the beginning index, okay, and the end index. So when we say the beginning index and the end index, like it will retrieve the value from that specified index to the respective end index. Or in some case, if we provide only the beginning index, okay, it will start from the beginning index and it will consider till the last index. So now either we can use the trim method or we can use the substring method. So let us practice with the substring because in many places in a real time we will be using the substring. Okay, so now in this node, I'm just right clicking on it. There is an edit option. You can edit this code. Okay, and I'm using the method called as a substring. Okay, so in the substring, I'm going to give the beginning index as 1 because L start from the first index, right? So we need to ignore the space. So the space is present in the 0th index. Now, if I enter, okay, what is the output it is going to give? It is giving the learn more. Okay, so now we can inject this input in the username text box. So how I have done in the sense with the help of the string concept. So like rather than like creating the separate class file for the string, so we can easily verify what it is happening in the particular line with the help of the watches. Okay, so whenever you are running in the debugger mode, so that is the advantage of the debugger mode. You can visualize like what it is happening in the particular line. Okay, you can simply just copy paste the line. So initially you have added the new watcher, okay, inside which like you have pasted that particular code, and if you just click on the enter, it is going to retrieve the respective output. So now in this line what we have done, so let me just explain line by line for the better understanding. Now from here we have splitted. So here there is two spaces are present. So that is why like while splitting it has considered the space as well. So how we are splitting? Okay, so we are using the split method. Okay, and we are splitting by the space. Okay, so once we split by the space, now the splitted output will be stored in an array. Now we need to retrieve the first index. So then what I'm doing, I'm just copying the same line. Okay, I'm adding the new watcher. Okay, so that like you can just verify everything line by line. Okay, in which we are retrieving the first index value, and then I'm clicking on the enter. Okay, so now the output will be like only the learn more. Now the space is present. How we can remove the space? So either you can use the trim method. Sorry. So either you can use the trim method, or else like you can use the substring concept. Okay, or else for the substring I will tell you the program, like I will show you the sample program how we can use the substring. You can use any of it. So in the substring, if I have given the beginning index, it will start the value from the beginning index to the last index. So that is why it has ignored the spaces. Okay, so now this particular line, so let me just edit it and let me copy this line. So this particular line is going to give the output of the username. So now let me just stop this program and let me replace this particular line. Okay, so because like we have already verified what it is going to return. So now this is done. So now after this step, we need to inject this username. So where we need to inject? Obviously like in the username text box, we can right click and we can inspect. Okay, so now let me just remove this. So this is the particular node which is present. So you can use any of the locators. So basically whatever the locator which is comfortable. So you can use the CSS or the gets path or the ID locator. It is purely your choice. So there is no such restriction in that. Okay, so it is purely your choice. So now let me try to use a CSS selector. Let me always stick with the CSS selector because CSS selector is very simple. Okay, how we can verify whether it is unique or not? With the help of the CSS selector. So what is the special notation for the ID? I told it is an hash. So when I say hash of username, it is giving me the one of one result. So I can use the syntax in the coding. I can say like driver dot, okay, find element by dot CSS selector. I am pausing the CSS selector and we need to inject the input in the send case. So obviously this particular line is going to give the output as a string, right? So I'm just storing the output as a string. So let it be like kind of an username is equal to something, and we are passing the username over here. Okay, in similar way like you need to like do for the password as well, but for time being like let me just hard code the password, but you guys should try out this scenario. So try to extract the password in the same way like how we did it for the username. So now let me just directly inject the password for the time being. Let me just right click and inspect. Let me find the any of the unique locator. It is having an ID. So let me check whether the ID is unique or not. How you will be checking? So with the help of the CSS letter syntax, if I use the hash, so hash indicates always an ID. So it's unique. It says one of one result. Now I'm going to map the relevant coding over here. So driver dot, okay, find element by dot CSS selector, right? So then we should use the CSS selector. I should use the CSS selector syntax over here. Then I should use the send keys. So let me hard code the value, but you should not hard code the value in the real time. So just we are practicing. I'm just hard coding the value. Let me copy this value and let me just mention in the double quotes. Now this is done. Next we need to like click on the login button, right? So driver dot find element by dot what is there is in a login button. So if I right click and inspect, so in this case like we are having like only one attribute called as an on click. So either you can use this on click in the export sentence or CSS selector, or if you are not comfortable, you can use the text of sentence, and here no white spaces or nothing is present. So we can easily use a text of sentence. But if you notice, like while right clicking and inspecting, okay, in this case, so something is present. If I double click on it, so the white spaces are present. If you are planning to use the text of sentence over here, then what is the syntax you need to use? So we need to ignore the leading space and the trailing spaces. And how you can ignore the leading spaces and the trailing spaces in the sense, like with the help of the normalized space. So normally with the help of the normalized space export, we can remove it up. So that is the reason I didn't use this export syntax over here, because it is having some additional informations. Okay, so that's why I have extracted the entire text and have splitted the username over there to explain the another concept. Okay, so even if you're not comfortable with it, you can use whatever the locators which you are comfortable. There is nothing wrong. So there is no such restriction. You can use any of the locator. Now in this case, let me just try to use the text of sentence. So double slash of button. I am just mixing the flavor. So just to give you like the different syntaxes. Okay, so it is not mandatory like every time I should use the text of. It is purely your choice. I'm just mixing all the locators just for the training purpose. Okay, so export, we are going to do the click operation. So now when we do the click operation, it should open in the new tab, right? Now let us call this method. Okay, so now in the given statement, we have called this username, right? So now we need to call the password. So in order to call the password, we are going to repeat the same thing. We will be saying like enter password, and we will be repeating the same line. So again, what we are doing here, we are doing the duplication. Okay, so here we are duplicating the same thing because we are calling this method again and again. So why we are calling this method again and again? Because we are doing the same match. Okay, so on how we can reduce this line of code. So there is another concept called as an method chaining. So whenever you are doing some sequence of action in a single page, like you can chain those method. So how we can chain those method? So basically, right, like after enter username method, if I click on dot, it is not giving anything because this particular method doesn't have the return type. So it says return type as in void. But if we add a return type, okay, so we can do the method chaining. And what is the return type we can add? So generally, like basically, if I say return of an integer, if I say return of the string, so it is going to return the integer value or the string value. But this time we are going to do the method chaining. So method chaining in the sense, like we need to share the knowledge of other methods which is present inside this particular class, which means we need to return the class. And how we can return the class in the sense, we can use the okay return keyword, and we should use this keyword called as in this. So whenever I say this, so this is nothing but it always refers to the current class, which means technically you are returning the current class. If you hover over the mouse, okay, it will make the return statement to the class name. Okay, so in each and every method in a real time, so we will be returning the current class. So why we are returning the current class in the sense, so that like we can like do the method chaining. Okay, we can sequence the method. Now I'm just adding return this, hovering over the mouse and making the return statement instead of an void. So we are making the return as an entire class. We are returning the entire class. So generally this refers to the current class. We are returning the current class. So that is the reason instead of an void, it is changing to the class name. Okay. So now let us try to refactor our code. Let me just go to the learnmore.feature and let me just navigate to this given statement. Now, rather than having 3 line, okay, we can easily do the method chaining, because like after entering the username, if I say dot, it will give the methods, enter password, because this is having the return type. It is going to return the entire class. Now, after entering the password, if I need to click on the login button, I can say click login button. Okay. So by this way, we are achieving the method chaining. So whenever you are planning to like perform a sequence of action in a particular page, then you can do the method chaining. So now while executing this particular line, it is going to enter the username, it is going to enter the password, and then it is going to click on the login button. Okay, now let's see whether it is working as expected or not. We need to ensure like whether the method chaining is working as expected or not. So it should enter the username and then it should enter the password. So followed by it should click on the login button, and while clicking on the login button, so it will be opening in the new tab. Okay, so if you notice, it has opened in the new tab, which means like we have able to successfully handle the login scenario. Now let's come to the actual picture. So we need to jump from this parent window to the child window. Okay, so in order to jump, so I'm going to write the jumping mechanism in the same learn more login page. So what I need to do, so I need to navigate to this page. I need to create one method. Okay, because initially the control of the WebDriver will be present inside the login page. So I can say public void. Okay, so switch to, so what is the name of the page? So it's an event management page, right? The name is event management. So I can say switch to event management page. Okay, so now we have written the method. Okay, so now how we are going to switch to the page? So obviously like we will be using the switch to method. So now let's say driver dot switch to dot, we are using the method called as an window. Okay, but this window method will accept string as an input. Either we should pass the name of the window or the handling mechanism, so the handler of the window. So how you will get to know the knowledge or the property of each and every window? So just in the beginning of the session, I told, so there is a method called as an get window handles. So if you use this method, okay, it is going to return the property of all open window. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add one line of statement above this. So let's say I'm just trying driver dot, okay, that is a method called as an get window handles. So now you could see there is a two method. One is of an window handle and another is of an window handles. So when we say window handles, it is going to return the property of all open window. When we say get window handle, it is going to return the property of the current window. Okay, so now let us get the property of all open window, and it is giving us a suggestion to store it in a set. Okay, so why we are going to store it in a set? So in the previous example, like while like extracting the drop down values, why we have used the list? So the reason is like, so sometimes if any duplicate entry is available in the particular table, and if we use the set in the place, it won't consider the duplicate entry, but it will store only the unique value. So by the way, like we are like fail to validate whether the duplicate value is present in the table or not. But when we use the list, right, it will store all the values. Even if something is duplicate, it will store all the values, and we can add some validation. We can like read the list and we can check whether the duplicate values are present or not. We can do such kind of validation. So that is the reason we have stored it in a list. But here, right, so why we are specifically going to store it in a set? So some cases, okay, so if this window is opening twice, okay, so then what happened? Obviously, this login page is going to have some unique property. This event management page is having this unique property. And we should not store the duplicate property. So even if it is open twice, so we should not store the duplicate property. So in order to avoid the duplicate property, like it is suggesting us to store it in a string. Okay, so when I say property, obviously like it is going to be in string. So that is the reason what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a set, and inside the set, I'm specifying the type as an sorry, the type is in string. Okay, and let it be like kind of an Windows. Okay, property. I'm giving the variable name as a Windows property, and if it's throwing the error in the set, so click on the import statement. It will be imported. Now we have stored inside the set. Now let us try to print the set. Now let me just remove the line and let me just try to print the set. Okay, so let me add a sysout statement. What is the name? It's a window property, right? Now we need to call this method so that while executing, like this particular method will be executing. Okay, so now where I can call? So let me just navigate to this particular thing. Okay, and after this, let's say we are planning to switch. So then I can say switch to, okay, event management page. So now if I just run the program, so we are going to verify the output, so whether it is returning the property of the opened web pages or not, opened window or not. So this time it should give like two property. So the one property is going to for a parent window and the other property is going to for a child window. So now if you look over the console, okay, so it is returning something. Okay, so it has retrieved the property of the window and it has stored in a set. Okay, so it has stored the window like parent window property as well as the child window property. Okay, so now we need to inject this property inside the method called as an driver dot switch to dot window. Okay, so now let me just navigate to this method. If I do the control click, it will be navigating to the method. Here I am going to say like driver dot, okay, switch to dot, okay, window. Here we need to pass the window property, but all the properties are stored inside the set, right? How we can retrieve the value from the set? So in order to retrieve the value from the set, either you can use the for each loop or there is some other concept called as an iterator. So with the help of the iterator, like you can iterate the set value. So when you like use the iterator, so it will like pick the parent window first and it will pick the child window next. So which is nothing but it is going to pick one by one. Okay, so now I'm going to use the iterator. Okay, and with the help of the iterator, I'm going to iterate the set value. Okay, so I'm using the iterator. Okay, I'm using the iterator, and even so while reading the set value, so we will be getting the output type as a string, right? So we need to specify so what you are going to read. So we are going to read the string value. Okay, so the iterator string, and I'm just giving the variable name iterator is equal to, and where we are going to use this iterator, we are going to use this iterator as the set. What is the variable name of the set? It's a Windows property, and if I say Windows property dot iterated, so it is going to iterate one by one value. Okay, and how we can iterate one by one value in the sense with the help of the next method. So when I say, okay, iterator dot next, so it is going to pick the first value, which is nothing but the parent window. So when I again say like iterator dot next, so it is going to pick the next value, which is nothing but it's a child value. So now what I can do, so this we can consider as a parent window. I can store it over here. So string, okay, parent window is equal to this one. And this thing I can say, so string, okay, child window is equal to this thing. Okay, so in the first iterator we are getting the parent window, in the second iterator we are getting the child window. Now where we need to switch, we need to switch to the child window. So I can pass it over here. So driver dot switch to dot child window. Now we need to ensure like whether it is switched to the child window or not. So how we can ensure? So just I'm writing the coding in the same method, so you guys can split up accordingly. Okay, so now we need to get the title, right? So I can just get the title. So driver dot, okay, get title, and let us try to print the title. So let me add it in a print statement. Okay, so just to verify, in driver dot get title. So why I'm getting the title in the sense, if it is switched to the child window successfully, obviously the control will be in the child window. The WebDriver control will be in the child window. And if I say get title, it should get the title called as an event manager. So by this way, we can verify so whether it is switched to the child window or not. Okay, so now let me just run this program and let me just verify whether it is switching to the child window or not. So if it is able to switch to the child window, so then we can fix this piece of code and we can refactor the code based upon your need. Okay, so now let's see, it's entering the username and password. Okay, it has opened the child window and let's check the output. And in the output, you could see it is printing the event management, the title of the page called as an event management, which is nothing but we are able to switch from the parent window to the child window. So now what we can do, so like if you need to write a reusable methods, let's say here I'm switching to the event management page. Here if I need to write one more method, if I need to switch back to the parent window, then how I can do? So public void, okay, switch to a parent window. So what we are going to do, so we know like which is the parent window. So now we can duplicate the same line of coding, okay, and we can place it over here. And if you need to switch to the parent window, so even we don't need this iterator or we don't need this get window handles, because we know like if we say the get window handle, it is going to get the property of the current window. Okay, so but sometimes if you build the window and if you are planning to switch from the child window to the parent window, then we should use this get window handles only. Okay, so it will get the property of all window and we have the property of the parent window, right? So here if we say the parent window, so now the control will be switched to the parent window. Now if you say driver.find element something, it will do the action only in the parent window. And for getting the title, so you can create one more page object class, okay, and then you can call the page object class in this asset statement and then you can verify the title of the page. Okay, so likewise, just refactor the code depends on your need. Now we are able to switch from like one window to the other window. So how we have achieved this in the sense, like initially we get the property of all open window. How to get the property of all open window? With the help of the method called as an get window handles. So after getting the properties, we are storing in a set. So why we are storing in the set? Because set will store only the unique values. And from the set, we are going to iterate the values. And how we are going to iterate the value in the sense, so you can use the iterator. Or if you feel it is tough for you, then I will tell you one more logic. Okay, so I will just remove this iterator. You already know, right? Like in order to extract the value from the list or set or map, we use the for each loop, right? Even we can use the for each loop concept over there. Okay, so so what we are going to read? We are going to read the Windows property, and during each and every run, it is going to give us an string value. Okay, so string, let it be. I'm just making it as an output. Now what I'm doing, okay, so in the in the first output, I'm just checking. So driver dot get title. Okay, so I'm getting the title. Okay, so and if I get the title, here I'm just adding like one more condition. If the get title is equal to, okay, so what is the title? Like first initially it will be in the login page and second time it will be in the event page. Here we are going to add a condition. Let's say if the title is like event, we should give in a correct way Okay, management, or else like let me just take it from the console. Okay, here I'm just adding one condition. Okay, so as a first time we are going to switch to the respective property. So driver dot.
Arvind, it is copied something else.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, sorry. I will just update this. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this method called as a driver dot switch to dot, okay, windows, and in the windows, I'm passing the respective output. Okay, so now what happened? So during the first run, okay, so it will get the property which is stored inside the set, and it is going to pass over there. Either it can be a parent window or it can be of a child window. So in order to verify whether it is a parent window or child window, so after switching to the respective thing, so what I'm doing, I'm adding one conditional check. So if, okay, if it is equal to, if the title is equal to like driver management, so then I'm asking it to add a break. Okay, if I add the break, it will terminate the loop. So now what happened? So the first time, so it will be like kind of a parent window property, and it will switch to the, sorry, I have written in this wrong way. Driver dot switch to dot window if the equals to, yeah, this logic is correct only. Let me check. We are extracting this window property, we are storing in an output, we are switching to the first output, we are getting to the title. If not, during the second run, like again we are using the loop, yes, we'll be switching to that. If we are comparing this condition, if it is matches with the title, we are adding the break statement, then the control will be in the corresponding page. Yes, this logic will work. Okay, so now what I did is like, so I have used this for each loop. So with the help of the for each loop, I'm iterating the set value, and I'm reading like one by one string value. So I'm just using the switch to method. I'm directly passing the output to this window method. So now what happened? It will switch to the window. So after switching to the window, I'm checking whether the title is equal to event management or not. If the title is not equal to event management, then it will run the loop for other time. So while running the loop for other time, it is going to pick the another window property, and it will pass the other window property, and it will switch to the other window property. Now, if you need to remains in the child window, here I'm just adding one more validation called as an driver.getTitle, and I'm just verifying the title of the page called as an equal management. If it is matches, so then I'm terminating the loop, which means the WebDriver will be present in the child window. Okay, so now let's see whether it is working as expected or not. I can say driver dot, okay, get title. Let me run this feature runner. Okay, so now the code is executed. Now let's see. Okay, you could see it has jumped to the child window. Okay, so even we can use the logic of the for each loop. So whatever it is comfortable for you. So if you are okay to use the iterator, so you can use the iterator, or if you can use the for each loop. With the help of the for each loop, you can switch to the child window. So generally we are switching with the help of the switch to method. Okay, so this is how like we will be handling the windows. So now whatever the changes we have done, so everything will be captured in the GitHub desktop. So now let me just open the GitHub desktop, and let's see like whether all the changes are captured. Now what is the next step? So we need to verify, okay, because you have done with your coding, you need to verify the scenarios which you have done. Okay, so we have added the feature file, I have added the step definition file, and as I told, so we should not change the tag. So the tag should be always static in nature. So it should not be dynamic in nature. While executing in your local, you can change as per your wish. But while committing the code, so they will be having some like static tag, because they will be creating the test suite. So we should not commit the tags. So I'm just right clicking and discarding it. Okay. And then in the real time they will be running the code in any of the in particular test environment. Here we have used our own test environment, so basically we should not commit the test environment. Okay, I'm discarding this file. Okay, then we have created the page object manager. Okay, this is fine. Then we have added the code. So if you're good with the logic, then what we need to do, we need to commit this code. So I say like window handling code, and I'm just committing to LMTI. Okay, and I'm just pushing the origin. Now where the code will be stored, obviously the code will be stored only in the LMTI. Now you can just initially you can preview the pull request. Okay, whatever the file changes, everything will be appear over here. If you're okay with the logic, okay, so then we should create the pull request. So while reviewing, so they will look whether the sysout statement is present. If the sysout statement is present, they won't approve the pull request. So generally we should not use the print statement. So the print statements are just for the user reference. For time being, just I'm creating the pull request. So whenever I click on the pull request, it will be navigating to the PR page. So then I can say like I'm adding code to handle the window. Okay, now we need to select the reviewer. So whoever the reviewer you want, and post selecting the reviewer, so you can just click on the create pull request. Now the pull request will be created. If I navigate to the pull request tab, so total there are 4 PR. In the 4 pull request, we have closed 3 and there is 1. So the open pull request will be reviewed by the automation team. So now they will be clicking this pull request and they will be navigating to this file changes and they will be verifying your code. It will give you the details information. So where you have updated, this is the update in the page object. This is updated in the utils. So this is updated in the step definition. This is updated in the feature file. So they will review everything. If everything is okay, they are going to approve it. Okay. After approval, so what they used to do, so they used to like merge the pull request. When they click on confirm merge, so the code will be automatically added to the main branch and it will be changed to the status called as and merged. Okay, so now if I switch back to the main branch, okay, so now in our system, like the main branch won't have the latest code. Then what we need to do? So we need to click on the fetch origin. So why I'm clicking on the fetch origin? So that like it will pull the latest code to my local. And if I click on the pull, so all the updated code will be added into my local as well. So this is how like we will be having the updated code. Okay, and if some other new code is added to the main branch, then you need to sync up your branch. How you will be sync up your branch? As I explained yesterday, like if you click on the current dropdown, at the last there is an option called as in choose branch to merge to the main. If you click on it, okay, so if there is like any other thing, sorry, we need to switch to the child branch first, and from our branch we need to check choose branch to merge. Now if you see, okay, so there are some additional code which is present in the main branch which is not available in your branch. And if you click on the merge commit and if you click on the push origin, so whatever the updated code which is available in the main branch will be added to the LMTA as well. So by this way we are establishing the sync between the branches. So basically whatever the branches you are created, it should always in sync with the main branch. So you should check whether it is in sync or not. If I redo the same action, now it says this branch is updated with main. So always your branch should updated with the main branch. Okay. So till this point, does anyone have any doubts? So I have committed the code. So probably like you guys can pull the code and you can check accordingly.